Hello, welcome, and good night from the Onyx Path News. No, we have actually still got a full episode to go with the Onyx Path News today. I am your anchor, and other words that rhyme with it, Matthew Dawkins, the gentleman gamer, sometimes known as, and I am here on a mission of mercy. No, I am here to talk with you about some of the news for 2020. There has been some very... Alas, says Gal, I am here. Hello, Gal Rukin, lovely to see you. It's always good to see you, Gal. You always like to tune in, and it's always lovely to have you here. I'm here to talk with you a little about what's going on in 2020, but not least that there is only four, at time of recording, four horsemen and 4 hours to go on the Cults of the Blood Gods Kickstarter. Hello, Travis. Hello, Elijah. That's right. 4 hours to go on the Cults of the Blood Gods Kickstarter. Travis, whack that link into the chat if you could be so kind. Everyone wants to see it because we are getting so close to what may be our final stretch goal. A whole bunch of bloody blood lore sheets for Cults of the Blood. That's right. We are getting so damn close to that last stretch goal. I can taste it. I can taste the metallic of the blood. So yeah, if Travis, you could post that, that would be much appreciated. Thank you very much for already backing Elijah Gist, or Gist, maybe Whist with a silent G. Cults of the Blood Gods, if you haven't heard, is a supplement for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, and it has gone gangbusters on Kickstarter. Really, it's done better than Chicago by Night, both in figures and number of backers, and who could have foreseen that? A book containing the smelly Giovanni doing better than a book containing the lovely, sleek La Sombra. No one would have anticipated it. So all that tells me is that there's a lot of very dedicated Onyx Path fans, a lot of very dedicated Vampire the Masquerade fans, people who love this subject, the context, the content of the book, religions, faiths, cults, and of course the Clan of Death. And people who have read the manuscript, told their friends, and howdy governor, Charlie, people who just love the idea behind what's in Cults of the Blood Gods in general. So thank you very much, everybody. Only 4 hours to go. If you haven't shared a link to it, please do so in your social media. It may be the deciding factor of what hits that final stretch goal of ours. It would really be appreciated if we can do it. We've already funded 2 bonuses for the writing team too, which is no small thing. We don't often hit those on our Kickstarters, and I can honestly tell you it is appreciated when we get them. In this industry, we're just not paid enough. It doesn't matter which company you work for, you're just never paid enough, and getting bonuses due to the success of a Kickstarter is just a really nice way of ensuring we get a little more for our work. What else am I here to tell you about? Well, Book of the Fallen was released yesterday for Mage the Ascension 20th Anniversary Edition. Book of the Fallen is a book that deals with all manner of Nefandi and Clipothic horror, and dare I say it, it is the most horrific, nastiest book I have ever had the pleasure to overdevelop. It isn't by any means a nice read, I should say. It is really quite a hard one to make your way through, and you should approach it with a certain amount of caution. We put warnings all over the damn place with this book because it contains horror of pretty much every single angle. Therefore, there may be chapters you want to avoid, there may be an entire book that you want to avoid, but for people who want to delve into the true nature of horror, then Book of the Fallen is really going to be a good book for you. Travis, post link to Book of the Fallen in the chat log, please. Good job Travis is here, because I hadn't planned for it. But if he can post a link to Book of the Fallen, the one that we posted on the Wednesday release note on the onyxpath.com, that would be much appreciated. Thank you very much, Mr. Legg. That was a book developed by Satiros Phil Braccato and Jacqueline Brick and myself, and it's really got a hell of a lot of horrifying content in. So again, my forewarning to you. Thank you very much, Travis. And hi, Scott. Because you might enjoy it, and you may be put off by it. Just be cautious with your approach to it. Most of us were at Midwinter Games Convention in Milwaukee last week. And that is always a fun thing because that's our company summit. Therefore, myself and Eddie Webb and Dixie Cochran, Matt McElroy, Monica Valentinelli, Ian Watson, Mike Cheney, Rich Thomas, and I think that's everybody. If I've forgotten someone, I do apologise. We get together for our summit. That takes a full day. It took us 12 hours of being in a meeting room, sharing ideas around, and it was hellishly successful. We also were able to play games, meet freelancers, run games, and generally have a good time socialising. For some of us, this is the only time in the year that we get to meet each other, such as myself living over in the UK. I don't fly over to America often, and Midwinter is the opportunity I get to see all of my colleagues in person. So it was definitely a convention worth attending and getting to meet lots of freelancers, including the very same Travis Legg, hero of the chat. It was lovely meeting you, Travis. You are a fantastic guy, and I would eat a steak next to you anytime. We have lots of meetings lined up. We also did some announcements, which, in case you missed them, here's a few. They came from beyond the grave. Oh, Christ, it's Eddie Webb. I did not pass the fucking potatoes, Travis Legg. Yeah, we announced they came from beyond the grave. You've thrown me off my stream of consciousness diatribe, Eddie. They Came From Beyond the Grave is a horror movie game, much the same as They Came From Beneath the Sea is a B-movie sci-fi game. It will still have quips and cinematics. Oh, Christ, you're all rolling in now. And it still has an air of comedy, although it's more ham over, I guess, glib and farce humour. It's a game that is going to be alternately set between the 1970s and the 19th century, much like many anthology movies such as Tales from the Crypt, The Asylum, and others. Your characters will be wandering around in the modern era, and then will get to see through the eyes of their ancestors who use the exact same character sheets and may well fall afoul of some horrific menace that then appears again in the 1970s. And it will have Vincent Priceisms, Christopher Lee-isms, Peter Cushingisms, and Ingrid Pittisms, and it will generally be a lot of fun. It's already being written. Some first drafts are already in. Thank you very much, Eddie Webb and Clara Herbal. And I've got some meetings with the other writers coming up this weekend. They Came From Beyond the Grave is a very exciting game for me because, of course, this is the second They Came From game that's going to be coming out. And They Came From Beneath the Sea is so close to being released to backers' hands, I can just about smell the brine. We also have Trinity Continuum Assassins. If you ever wanted to play a game of John Wick, Wanted, Kill Bill, pre the bride going on her rampage, although you could play it like that as well if you want to be a bunch of deadly vipers, then Trinity Continuum Assassins is the game for you. It's going to be expanding the Trinity Continuum universe, multiverse, and I think that's going to be, well, the continuum, if you like, and that is going to be a lot of fun. I would say of all the releases, of all the upcoming releases we announced at Midwinter or just talked about in general, Assassins was the one that really started getting people thinking about the different types of assassin that one might play, and I think that the team on it are just superb. They have some really fantastic minds on that book, so do keep your eyes open for Trinity Continuum Assassins. I should also mention that we were reminded about how well the Trinity Continuum Core Book and Trinity Continuum Aeon were doing. By the way, Travis, if you could post some links to Trinity Continuum and Trinity Continuum Aeon into the chat log, that would be much appreciated. They have been doing well, not surprisingly well, just superbly well, and we've got a lot to thank you viewers, you frequent customers for, because a lot of people are playing Trinity and loving it. They love that it's been brought back. The story path system really serves it well. Now, we also mentioned, of course, again, Exalted Essence. Exalted Essence, if you're unfamiliar with it, is going to be Exalted 3rd Edition, pared down, condensed, and made into a sleeker, more streamlined product that is more usable at your table. That is not to say that Exalted 3rd Edition is going to stop, far from it, and further source books, further splat books will be coming out, but Exalted Essence is going to be the streamlined version of Exalted that you may have always wanted. And speaking for myself, I've always found Exalted to a difficult game to get into. It's backstory, its world has just been too difficult for me to grok. I've just not had the time to. So the idea of an Essence version where you have all of your various exalts available from the core book, including your Solars, your Dragonblooded, your Alchemicals, your Exigents, and whatnot, is hugely appealing to me. I know I was speaking to Neil Ramon Price at Midwinter about how the Forgotten Realms campaign setting, if you remember for 3rd edition, would go through geographical areas with just like 2 paragraphs per area. It would give you just enough flavour for a GM to start running and players to start knowing how to set their characters around the area. And being able to condense the world of Exalted into that kind of frame, going a bit back to 1st edition in theme, I guess, and mood, is something that holds a lot of appeal for a lot of people, including myself. So again, keep your eyes open for Exalted Essence. What else do we have? Well, it would be remiss of me to not once again, as there's more of you here now, to point out that there are only 3 hours to go. 3 hours to go on the Cults of the Blood Gods Kickstarter as of time of recording. We are, let's see how close we are. We are just under $3,000 away from the final stretch goal on the book. Can we make it $3,000 in 3 hours? It's going to be tight, but I've got faith in you. Remember, share the link, share it widely. Twitter, Facebook, Bebo, MySpace, LiveJournal, whatever. Share the link and get people over to join the cult. There will be a certain degree of conversion, Gal, between Exalted 3rd Edition and Exalted Essence. Yes, it is still going to be set at the same time frame. It's still going to be set using the same bases. So, share to your Orkut and Google Wave. Thank you, Ian, and I will be using my Google Glass to view those links as we go along. So yes, it would be remiss of me to not mention community content too, because we still continue rolling along with community content for Canis Minor, being Pugmire, Monarchies of Mao, for the Sluresian Vault, being Scarred Lands, and Travis, again, I know, these news episodes always become a big hurrah for Travis Legg. We're all sick of him now, aren't we? He has done such wonders with the Sluresian Vault, really turning it into a massive trove of fantastic Scarred Lands content. There are so many fantastic source books on the Sluresian Vault that I really recommend you check it out. It will make you fall in love with the Scarred Lands setting, and I can't recommend it enough. But not just that. The Story Path Nexus is also available. Initially, it was just open to Scion. Soon, if not already, it will be open to the Trinity Continuum. So you will be able to create content for that. I think Trinity has just opened up, in fact. So there's so much you can do. And as I always say in these news episodes, you don't have to worry about creating a 100, 150 page book. You could create a list of characters, a list of magical items, a list of encounters, and publish it on one of these community content programs and sell it for 50 cents or less, and you will still get money for it. You will still derive profit from everything you sell. So never feel afraid that you're not good at layout, or that you just don't have it in you to write a massive tome. You don't need to. Not everything needs to be a Travis Legg project, but when it is, that's also fantastic. So, going from there, I saw someone posted something about Chicago by Night. There we go. Eddie has just answered. The folio hasn't been released yet. We're waiting for Chicago by Night to be formally available in stores first. There is Chicago by Night. If anyone was not aware, that is my Kickstarter copy. It arrived while I was away at Midwinter, and I am seeing reliably on Discord and Facebook that other people are receiving their copies of Chicago by Night for V5 as well. Here we go. This time the books did not all fall on me. I've also got Trinity Continuum over my shoulder. They're just there, see? And there's Chicago by Night in all of its lovely hardback detail. Beautiful book. I, of course, open it up on 2 pages that don't have a great deal of art on, but the art that is there is wonderful. I have to say, I think that the art in Chicago by Night is the best so far of all of the V5 books, and I can't wait to see all of Cults of the Blood Gods art come in as time goes on. And as someone mentioned, Chicago Folios and Let the Streets Run Red, well, we are getting the art in for those as well. Chicago Photos has been first proofed. Let the Streets Run Red art is being commissioned, so be patient, it won't be too long. You asked, is there any idea on release for Chicago by Night? Well, Chicago by Night itself, once Kickstarter backers start getting their copies, you should anticipate seeing Chicago by Night in stores. You'll be able to order it from your game stores, your book stores, Amazon, Studio 2, Drive-Thru RPG. You'll be able to order it from all of these places from around February, March, I believe. I think that's the intended release date. So keep your eyes open. That is the plan. I should have some small print there. Please note, plan cannot be taken as an actual authority or guarantee. So with that said, the news has been going for about 15 minutes or so. I've talked through some of the new releases. Always check out the onyxpath.com, because on Wednesdays we announce what books are being released every single week, and we have a lot of lovely releases coming up soon. But if you have any questions now for the last 5 minutes of the news, now is the time to answer them. For instance, who is the best Mario Kart player among the in-house developers at Onyx Path Publishing? Obviously the answer to that is Matthew Dawkins, as the Midwinter Cup show. Damn it, we should have got a cup, shouldn't we? We should have got a trophy. It's not you, Eddie. Though Eddie did come second more times than he ever has before, unless it's against the computer, in which case I guess he comes first occasionally. You are the best Donkey Kong. That is correct. There were only 2 Donkey Kongs in the race, and one of them was Neil. Gal, now that Bloodlines are introduced, are third-party Bloodlines according to Cult's rules going to be allowed in the Storyteller's Vault? That's a good question. V5 currently isn't in the Storyteller's Vault, so that would be a no. But when V5 does appear in the Storyteller's Vault, I strongly imagine they will be. What of the new Blood Cults is your favourite? Of the new Blood Cults, Charlie, the Ashfinders, definitely. Will there be clan books for V5, asks J Beetle. Maybe. I don't know, I can't speak to that. I don't have full view of every company's schedule. It's not something on our plate right now. Bear in mind, when Modifius releases the Player's Guide, that will have a lot of new clan information in as well. I have no doubt. So, yeah. What were we talking about? Mario Kart, yes. It's BT, not Beetle. Well, shame on me. So, which of the new Blood Cults is my favourite? Other than the Cult of the King in Yellow, Charlie, yeah, the Ashfinders are probably up there for me. Something we discussed at Midwinter that hasn't really been discussed that widely is the idea that in the Book of Nod they talk about eating ash, and Ashfinders are the group that eat ash, and so Mike, the writer of the Ashfinders, was able to dig out that piece of lore while looking at the Book of Nod, and has turned it into a modern cult of thin bloods that eat the ashes of elders and imbibe their memories, take them on, and run the risk of being possessed by those elders' beasts. Are millennials killing kindred religion? Yes, they are. But they're also rejuvenating it and reshaping it into their own form. Indeed, Elder, I think is the way you say it. What other cities are planned? We don't have any city source books planned right now from Onyx Path that I can announce, but in Let the Streets Run Red you will receive basic city overviews for Indianapolis, Milwaukee, and Gary, Indiana. You are late to the party, Mr. So, yeah, you've missed all of the good news, except for 3 hours. You have 3 hours to pledge to Cults of the Blood Gods Kickstarter. Travis, post that link to the Cults of the Blood Gods Kickstarter again. We've got 30 people viewing. At least one of them hasn't backed the Kickstarter yet. If the number of backers does not shoot up, I don't think there's going to be a V5 Book of Nod immediately, Mr. BT, because the one for previous editions exists and is available to buy through Drive-Thru RPG. Okay, Charlie, you've got 3 hours to figure out how Kickstarter works. Gentle reminders to go get M20 Book of the Fallen 2 and make sure you can view adult content. Very true. And Millington, Illinois. It's a fun little town surrounded by cornfields. Is Beckett dead? Well, in the sense that all vampires are dead, yes. So, what's my secret? How am I so good at Mario Kart? I know that's the question all of you are asking. But before I get there, how you get Kickstarter to work, Charlie, is you set up an account with Kickstarter. You can, I believe, link it to your Amazon account, but you can set up an account directly with Kickstarter. You need a credit card or debit card, and you then type into the search bar Cults of the Blood Gods, and then you just choose the pledge level you want to go in at. I do not cheat. David Fuller is saying I cheat at Mario Kart because he lost horribly. He lost even worse than Eddie loses, and even worse than Neil loses. It took me 3 races to realise who David was playing in Mario Kart. He was that far behind. Hello, Gangrel. What would you say are good guidelines for planning your city for a vampire chronicle? Oh, that's a good question. Planning your city for a vampire chronicle. Pick out a few iconic locations, but don't go mad. You don't need to know the entire city layout to run a game of vampire. You just need some locations that are familiar, but not too familiar, because if it's too familiar, it becomes an in-joke around the table if you're using your own personal city. So if, for instance, I'm using Salisbury, I know for a fact that everyone knows what Stonehenge is, because that's nearby, but no one goes there because it's cordoned off. Therefore, I would suggest that that is a common meeting place for the Bahari, for instance, if Salisbury had the population to sustain more than one vampire. And they will go up there to perform all kinds of rituals in a Circle of the Crone kind of way, edging into Vampire the Requiem now. But anyway, I would use things like that to ground my players, and also I would, as I always advise, keep it intimate. Keep your story intimate. Keep it about the mortals surrounding them at first before you start delving into the city politics of all the vampires around, because there's no reason for a character to know 30 vampires when they first start off. Since we're reviving Mummy the Curse 2nd edition, have you given some consideration to Demon the Fallen? Demon the Fallen would not be having its 20th anniversary for another 3 years, I believe, so give that some time. But I, speaking personally, not speaking for Onyx Path, I can't foresee any other 20th anniversary core books, simply because there's 5th editions coming out now, and it doesn't make a great deal of sense to my mind to release books for a previous edition, core books for a previous edition, while a new edition is being published. What's going on with Hunter the Vigil 2nd edition? You'll find out very soon, gal. We've got some news regarding Hunter coming up soon. But yes, that's a book that's looking very, very nice, developed by Monica Valentinelli, and I understand the team on it were fantastic. I was able to see some snatches of that manuscript when I was co-developing Dark Eras 2 and Contagion Chronicles, so I believe that's going to be a lot of fun. Can't seem to wrap my head around the choice for the new Hecate clan symbol. Resembles something of Greek origin when none of the involved clans are Greek. Hecate is a Greek goddess of death. Giles, and also we often reference in the manuscript the 3 faces of death, being the Cappadocian, Samdi, or Giovanni, depending on your perspective. It may be the Lamia as well. Therefore, there are 3 faces of death, 3 Hecate heads, or just 3 heads. What else do we have? I was asked which book of the Tzimisce planned in. I imagine they'll appear in the Sabbat book. Bit of a curveball, if you can. Is there any plan for Onyx Path to support Pathfinder 2nd edition among the Fantasy D20 line of products? If Pathfinder 2nd edition keeps going strength to strength, I imagine it is definitely something we will review. What's your favourite Hunter compact or conspiracy? That's a very good question. Probably the Chiron group. Hi, Matthew. And one last question. See, these questions go past on my screen far too fast for me to keep up with them. So, we'll have 3 more questions. 3 more. Now, everyone will write questions and I'll miss all of them. Is there a Sabbat Player's Guide out soon? Not by Onyx Path. In later books, could we see more amalgam powers for Vampire? Yes, definitely. There's some more in Cults of the Blood Gods, in fact. So that's 2 of the 3. One more question. Is there any news about Demon the Fallen? Well, I've already answered that. It's not its 20th anniversary yet, so you've got to be patient. I, again, consider it unlikely that we'll be doing another 20th anniversary core book when there's 5th edition books coming out. That's my opinion, not Onyx Path's. but that is my perspective. So as that's a question I've already answered, I can do one more. Again, there's 3 hours remaining for Cult of the Blood Gods, and now we only need to fund $2,800 in order to hit that final stretch goal. Do Onyx Path work in collaboration with Modifius, or are you two separate entities? We are two separate entities, but we do exchange emails and Christmas cards. Ah, there you go, one more. Are there any discipline powers that haven't been revealed in the manuscript of Cults of the Blood Gods? Nope, the manuscript that is issued to backers is in its entirety. In fact, this one has been edited. Doesn't mean I won't make some small changes based on constructive criticism, but for all intents and purposes, this manuscript is concluded. So, with that said, thank you very much for watching, and do back Cult of the Blood Gods on Kickstarter if you haven't already. If you watch this in 4 hours' time, it will be too late. A manuscript is when we fight over the manuscript, Eddie. As you can see, I'm taking Queensberry rules in terms of my pose. You're probably some kind of southpaw, that's the kind of dog you are. Softpaw. Pew 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 to you too. Good luck with the Kickstarter, thank you very much. Our luck has almost come to an end, in a good way, because the Kickstarter is almost concluded, and once it has, I will sleep. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and have a good day. Where the hell's the off button?